and this is elution volume. As we're flowing buffer across this column, the volume of buffer that we're eluting, and then we'll put another y-axis here, which is salt concentration. So that as our buffer is eluting, we're actually increasing the salt concentrations. And there are basically machines that do this for you, that basically mix a high salt buffer and a low salt buffer, slowly mix them together so that you basically create this salt gradient. The salts that are used, typically sodium chloride or potassium chloride. And then as proteins come off, the first one that come off are less charged proteins. The last ones that come off are the more highly charged. This is typically done either under low or medium pressure type of chromatography systems. There are matrices that, there are different ways of generating the positive charge on your column, and they're basically, a lot of them refined. It turns out to be a pretty high resolution technique that you can actually separate out proteins pretty well. Now, just for the sake of completeness, what I've showed is the more typical situation where you basically, most common is anion exchange chromatography. Which is a positive charge column and a negative charge protein. But you can have cation exchange which is a negatively charged column and a positively charged protein. Say you were going to purify histone. Would you use anion exchange chromatography or cation exchange chromatography? What's that? Yeah, cation. Histones have the positive charge on there so they can bind the negatively charged DNA. You'd actually end up using cation exchange chromatography. But they're one of the 10% of the proteins in the cell that actually have a positive charge on physiological pH. Most proteins end up having a negative. Now you can actually control the charge by running it at different pH, right? If you change the pH relative to the PI of all different proteins, you're going to change the charge status of the different proteins. So you can kind of play around with doing it at different pHs too. The other thing too, which is done less often, but I'll just mention it here, is that sometimes instead of doing a salt gradient, which is the most typical, you actually run a pH gradient so that you basically are changing the charge status of the proteins that you're using rather than the salt gradient. That leads to some problems I won't get into. All right, we'll leave you there, and we'll come back and we'll kind of finish this up.